Tristen Yancey of RegScale, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining me today. What would you like to see the FedRAMP program do to make it easier for vendors to get through, less expensive, but also maintain the level of security that they promise to agencies through the program?
Well, thank you, Francis, for having me. It's always a pleasure. Obviously, shorten the time frame because right now it takes an average of about 18 months in order to get that FedRAMP authorization. And there are a lot of companies, especially smaller companies, where that's a barrier to entry going into the federal government market. So if they could expedite the process, of course, keeping security in mind, obviously that would be beneficial both for the companies that are applying for FedRAMP as well as the federal government itself.
Is there an ideal time frame? 18 months does seem like a long time, and yet, obviously, as you mentioned, the government wants to make sure that it's doing its due diligence for each of these organizations that are going through the process. Is there a way to put a number on the balance, or will we just know it when we see it, do you think?
Well, ideally, any company would say 3 to 6 months would be ideal, right? The
Sure.
faster time to market is always the best. But I think 6 to 9 months is a realistic time frame in order to get through the FedRAMP process if you could streamline it.
What would you like to see happen then as far as the back end goes in order to make that happen, to basically cut in half the time that it takes now?
So a lot of it has to do with putting the package together, meeting those federal regulations, but also it's the process once you're in the queue in order to get authorized. And I think when the government goes 100% RegScale, which is the machine-to-machine language that NIST has created, that will really help streamline the process and take the human element out of it.
What will we be able to watch, do you think, through that transition to make sure that it's working the way that NIST and the other stakeholders intend?
Well, it's going to be a new process, right? So in order to really find out if it's working or not, is go through the first couple and see how it works and work out the kinks that way.
Yeah. What does the long-term view for FedRAMP look like, do you think? I get this almost a philosophical question as much as a technical question, but what does the evolution, the continued evolution of the program look like in another year, 2 years, 5 years, do you think, Tristen?
Well, I think it will continue to streamline. Efficiencies will be gained, especially when you have RegScale involved. So I think that more companies will be able to get through the process faster, which again is good both for the government and for private industry.
Why is that good for industry? I understand why more competition essentially makes for better results for government. Why is that good for industry too?
Well, there are a lot of SaaS solution providers out there who are not FedRAMPed and they can't bring their products into the federal marketplace. And so it is a barrier of entry as of today.
So that will make it easier for them to connect with companies who have FedRAMP approval and get those products through the pipeline faster? Is that what you expect to see?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Terrific. Thanks very much for joining me. It's great to talk to you today.
Thank you, Francis.